Welcome to the FTN Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Forge Narrative. My name is Paul Murphy, your host. This is episode 249, and we are the Bella Lost Souls podcast. I'm joined by Chris Morgan and Ricky Addington.
Did you miss me?
As a Dark Angels player, I do this podcast under protest.
we actually fought before the show. And Val Heffelfinger.
Oh!
Yeah, oh! We're here to talk about Codex Space Wolves, and what I mean by that is Codex Arjak Rockfist.
Yurka Finirka.
I hear he's a big deal.
Today I learned there's a character named Arjak Rockfist.
Oh, you're gonna hear a lot about him.
Listen, you're gonna see so many Val minds being blown in the show.
My counts as Space Marine Force, I play as Luna Wolves. I play them as the pre-heresy Luna Wolves color scheme, and so in the past I have played them as Space Wolves. Obviously, when Super Friends was my list, created that. Yeah, I had my four-wheelers as my Thunderwolf Cavalry. So played Space Wolves, played Blood Angels together in the same list.
Yeah, I did that, and I would apologize. I would set my models down.
Simpler times when you'd have to apologize for weird fluff things that you were doing with lists, wasn't
it? Yeah. I'd be like, yes, that's Space Wolves and Dark Angels.
But a few years ago, I actually won War Games Con with Arjak and Logan Gribnar in a list. It was
in my day.
Well, I was using Imperial Guard and Space Wolves, where Logan and Arjak would come down and they would essentially walk across the table into the enemy. Like I'd pick up the relic and march it into the enemy deployment zone with those guys. Because they were going to live and they were going to win. They were going to win games. And I think we're back to that type of period, man. I don't know about Logan so much, but Arjak is solid. I mean, he's solid as a tree stump.
He's jacked.
Would you say that he is rock solid?
He is. He is jacked up, rock solid tree stump.
It's good to be back.
Now, Logan got an improvement. You know, you've seen this on the Warhammer community page, where even on Stormrider, on his transport thing, that he is gone up to 2+ save, which is good. But I want to spend a little bit of time talking about Arjak. Arjak this is very much like the Index. He's actually gone up 5 points from the Index, but he has 5 wounds, and his Warlord trait, if you make him your Warlord, he has a predetermined Warlord trait that gives him 1 additional wound. And he reduces all damage suffered by 1 to a minimum of 1. So that could be potentially 12 wounds on a guy with a 2+ armor save and a 3+ invulnerable save.
Yeah, short of mortal wounds, it's going to be tough to shift this guy.
And you also have to be able to shoot him, too.
Yeah, he is a character, and he does have his Thunder Hammer, which he is famous for being able to throw. He has a shooting attack, which is strength ×2, -3 AP, D3 damage, but when he's attacking a character or a monster, it's 3 damage.
I think that's good.
That's okay. I mean, it's okay. I mean, he's not a Dark Angel, but it's okay.
Well, he has 4 attacks base, but then he has the ability, the Champion of the King's Guard, which reroll failed hit rolls for Arjak in the fight phase when targeting a character. In addition, you can make 1 additional attack in the fight phase for all models in the friendly Wolf Guard units within 6 inches of Arjak. So this is spreads out to multiple units, but he is also a Wolf Guard. So he gets 5 attacks, swinging at strength 10, -3 AP, potentially 3 damage.
So let's just go through this here real quick. This guy, 5 attacks at strength 10 that are hitting on 2s, re-rolling misses, and then wounding most things on 2s, re-rolling failed wound rolls of 1 as well. Did I get all that?
He has a Thane of the High King. You re-roll wound rolls of 1 for a friendly Space Wolves unit within 6 inches of him. He also is a Space Wolf. Now, I mentioned that he throws his hammer. He does have a special hammer. It does not get the -1 to hit.
He loves his hammer.
I love his hammer.
The faux hammer.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yep.
That's a Lord of the Rings reference.
How many points, Paul? Did we cover this?
It's 145 points.
Yeah, that's a bargain.
Worth it all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes me glad I have an Arjak model. Now I just need to get more Space Wolves.
I am very happy to talk about this guy. I mean, I think it is one of those models that he's got a cool story. He's got a great model and fun rules.
Yeah. Look, can I preface this with, well, let me say one thing first off. Okay, all y'all listeners out there who know how big of a Dark Angels fan I am, y'all got to forgive me for this. Do not hit me up on Facebook yelling at me like I know 3 of you will, but that Arjag is awesome. I want him. I want him in my army, right with
Listen, he is the model avatar of Justin Troop. Can we all just have like a brief moment of silence for the fact that Troop isn't here to enjoy this?
I'll have to make sure he knows what's up and to dust off his Arjag model.
Just everybody, everybody message him when the show's done recording. Don't tell him anything. Just be like, "Oh my gosh, Space Wolves! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited."
Now,
and that's it. And then just ghost him for like a week.
I'm sympathetic. Ricky's just cruel.
The Space Wolves have a ton of great stratagems, and we'll talk about them in just one second. There are Primaris Marines in here, and almost all of the Space Wolf stuff, all of the Space Marine stuff has worked its way into the Space Wolf army list that you can take. Now, clearly they've got the Stormfang instead of the Storm Raven, but all those other vehicles are things that you can take and make them Space Wolves. All the Space Marine stuff and all the Primaris stuff has made its way into the Space Wolf army list.
Nice.
Yeah.
Get out your wolf pelt bits. Start sculpting some green stuff. Wolfify all those things.
Yeah, so all the Primaris Space Marines have units in the Space Wolf Codex, but I actually believe that a lot of the character and a lot of the flavor of the Space Wolves is still very much in the Space Marine bodies.
Like just the regular power armor dudes.
Yeah, regular old power armor guys. Yeah.
Explain.
Well, for instance, the intercessors and the inceptors, they don't get the ability to add in the mixed armored units like the Grey Hunters, for instance, get.
Now, are you trying to tell me that there's a version of this out here where regular Space Marines are worth more?
Oh, you're not going to take them.
Sorry, I had to do a quick reality check.
But, well, I take that back. You actually will, because the scouts, now, Space Wolf scouts are not Space Marine scouts. The Space Wolf scouts are the ones that are the elites. They're Wolf scouts.
You're going to have to fill those troops choices somewhere, so...
Yeah, and I think you're going to take Grey Hunters in this instance, or even possibly Blood Claws. And the only reason I say that is simply because you're giving a minimum point investment to your troops.
Yeah, when you have, almost 30 characters in your codex, you don't have room for expensive troops because you're going to be putting all the characters in there.
So you've seen this on the community page, but the Space Wolves, if you take a Battleforged army, they have the Hunter's Unleashed rule. So in any turn in which a unit with this ability has made a charge move, was charged, or made a heroic intervention, you can add 1 to its hit rolls for the fight phase. That's incredibly strong. Now, again, there's been tons of comments on this kind of stuff already because it was previewed on the Warhammer community page, but this means things like Power Fist and Thunderhammer's normal not Arjag's Foe Hammer, which is clearly superior to many, many Thunderhammers out there. But you won't get that suffer that -1 during the first round of the fight phase. Mm-hmm. In addition, characters with this ability can perform a heroic intervention if, after the enemy has completed all their charge moves, there are any enemy units within 6 inches of them. They can move up to 6 inches when performing a heroic intervention as long as they end their move closer to the nearest enemy model.
Well, that makes me feel good about character dreadnoughts.
Yep.
That's terrifying.
So heroic intervention kind of goes, I think, underappreciated. But after you've completed your charge moves, i.e. if you didn't even have any charge moves, these dudes can jump 6 inches and begin to layeth the smackdown on folks.
That is I guess, yeah, in the opponent's phase, but during your own phase, you still have to charge.
Well, you get a little bit, yeah, right, I'm with you. But this is just a little bit of a gotcha, if you ask me.
Well, I think the world was introduced to that gotcha when every knight became a character after that codex dropped, and suddenly you're like, well, I'm not going to charge you, and they're like, that's cool, I'm going to step on your face. because you left your dudes. You're trying to screen out a knight like 2 inches away from his base. Well, now he's a character. He can just waltz right in.
You mentioned character dreadnoughts. Murderfang is a character dreadnought.
Mm-hmm.
Bjorn is a character dreadnought.
Well, the other one is a murderer with fangs. And also, if I recall, has 1,000,000 attacks. Is that still the case?
Well, his base attacks is 5.
Okay.
I believe that is increased from the index.
I'm looking at him right now. He's 5 attacks in the index.
Oh, okay. Well, he can reroll failed charge rolls. In addition, a turn which Murderfang makes a successful charge increases attack characteristic by 2.
Ooh. There it is. Okay, so they actually added that in.
Did they find some way to get rid of that weird head?
No, that's here to stay.
I'm pretty sure you could probably model it without that, right?
Look, he has murder fangs and murder claws, and I think a murder shield.
Is he the dude with the shield and the... No, he's definitely not the dude with the shield and the hammer.
Murder lust, don't forget.
What? This guy is a straight gangster.
He is, but he's just full of murder with all his murder accessories.
And you can see that with his clenched jaw
Accessories.
and his green monocle. He's the only Space Wolf with a monocle. I mean, this guy's for real.
He definitely bought the premium package when he got that dreadnought.
Is that what it takes to be classy in 40k, is to wear a monocle?
While you're dishing out 7 attacks, yeah. It's pretty, that's like the definition of 40k classy. A lot of stuff here in the book, like for the Wolf and Dreadnought, for instance, has the Murder Lust also, rerolling failed charge rolls.
Wolf and Dreadnought, do tell.
It's just like it sounds. You can give it the Blizzard Shield, which gives it a 4+ invulnerable save. You can give it the Frenzian Great Axe, which has a couple of different attack profiles. You can give it the Cleave, which is +4 strength, giving it strength 10 with a d6 damage. You have to subtract 1 from your hit rolls, but because it's a Space Wolf, gets the +1, so cancel it out on that first round. Or the Scythe ability, make 2 hit rolls for each attack with this weapon. So the Scythe ability would give it 8 attacks, which is
that's a lot.
User, strength 6, -3 save.
Does he still does he get all the benefits that Footslogging Wolfen get?
No, he does not get the ability to attack even if he's dead.
Well, so why is he a Wolfen?
I believe that is the bevy of attacks and the war gear options.
Oh, okay. Like, so does he have like the Curse of the Wolfen at all, aside from Death Frenzy?
He does not.
Okay, I'm going back to Murder Fang.
Murder Fang he isn't bad. I mean, that's basically it's a lot of attacks, and if you're going to be doing something with a Dreadnought, you might as well be murdering folks. I mean, why not?
Well, they're not there for the diplomacy aspect.
A lot of folks are curious about Thunderwolf Cavalry. These guys are a lot of points, if you ask me. And I'm less excited about them, I guess, competitively, because Strength 10 does not do what it used to do. And these guys the dudes are actually Strength 8, but they don't, instant death is not a thing anymore. But they do get a ton of attacks. 2 attacks apiece for the regular dudes, and the pack leader has 3 attacks. And then the Thunderwolf gets 3 attacks at strength 5, -1 AP. That's not terrible. So you're dishing out. You're able to chew up. I guess the mid-tier units.
Chew up. Was that Mr. Morgan talking? That was very good. Now, I mean, do they have any sort of synergies? Like, is there some kind of cool stratagems for these guys?
There are stratagems
that juice them up.
They are Space Wolves, and they're also Wolf Guard. So Arjack jacks them up, as it were.
Teleports in, gets them all jacked.
So there are some benefits here, and we'll talk about the stratagems in just a second. The Forensian Wolves and the Cyber Wolves, those are both fast attack choices. The Forensian Wolves are not cavalry, and neither are the Cyber Wolves.
What are they classified as? Just
they're
infantry?
beasts.
They're beasts.
Yeah.
Beasts.
Okay. So, for instance, the Space Wolf, what with the commitment bonus, as we like to call it, for having the detachment, it's for infantry, biker, cavalry, and dreadnoughts, not beasts.
Sorry, wolves.
They are 6 points apiece in the index, as far as I can see.
What about the Cyber Wolves?
Cyberwolf is says it's 15 points total for one Cyberwolf.
Cyberwolf is the same as it is in the Codex here. The Frenzian Wolves have gone up in the Codex by 2 points.
That seems like an interesting change to me. I wonder why exactly, because I don't recall seeing a whole lot of them in the very few Space Wolf lists that I saw.
Man, in previous editions, they were all over the place.
Maybe they saw a screen cap of Barkstar and got very confused and had to raise that.
Barkstar PTSD.
They just panicked and they were just like up on their spreadsheet.
The strategy.
Someone just triggered Ricky.
With Thunderwolf Cavalry, something's interesting is the wolves that those guys ride on. It's not like it's a separate model, so that those wolves get benefits. So there's not all wolves have been left out of chapter tactics.
That's a very good point. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, they're just basically an extra set of attacks. They're not actually a wolf.
They get the buffs, so they're also technically, I guess, Wolf Guard.
Yeah, they are.
Technically, yes, in many ways.
So the stratagems is where we're going to really see things start to separate and become, in my opinion, extremely powerful. I know that we've been somewhat tongue-in-cheek talking about some of the Space Wolves, but they are quite the venerable chapter, and that plays out really, I guess, apparently in their stratagems.
Well, I have to agree with that. I think that they have some very neat stratagems.
So in addition to the things like kill shot and stuff that we've come to expect from Space Marines in general, they got some pretty flavorful things. And the first one I want to talk about is Cloaked by the Storm. This is a 3 command point stratagem. So this is not going to get used very often, but you use this stratagem in your psychic phase. Choose a rune priest from your army that successfully manifests the psychic power in this phase. Your opponent must subtract 1 from all hit rolls for all ranged attacks that target friendly Space Wolf units within 6 inches of this model until the beginning of your next psychic phase.
So they get that chapter tactic style buff without actually having to commit to it. That's all right. It's nice to have something in the back pocket with that.
It's 3. That's one of the things that make like Eldar so powerful is that lightning reflexes. And that's just for 1 unit. This is any unit within 6 inches of the Psyker.
Yep, daisy chain out.
So, but you get to choose it, right? Like you know you have this, and so you could, I think, in my opinion, really make the most of those 3 command points if you choose to do that.
Especially when you're hustling across the field with our Jack.
Yeah, that's not going to get old. Like it's really
absolutely not. Also, I like the imagery of him becoming a like a Tasmanian devil, but blizzard. This is all appealing to my Canadian sensibilities.
Oh man, when you used to, well, I would say when String 10, did what it did, and when you get lucky with that Overwatch with his hammer, it just instant kill somebody. You don't know the satisfaction.
It's just insulting, isn't it? I mean, like, get taken out, instant death from some dude throwing his hammer. It was insulting.
I remember overwatching a Grey Knight Paladin.
How many times did you shout, "It's hammer time"?
Just the joy.
Every time?
All the time. Stop.
Yeah, so Cunning of the Wolf. This is a 1-point stratagem. Use this stratagem during deployment. When setting up a Space Wolf infantry unit, you can set this unit up on the hunt instead of placing it on the battlefield. It basically gets coming from reserves.
Well, that's interesting. It's just 1 unit? Do they have the ability to bring in more than 1?
It's more than during deployment. So I would take that to be more than 1, but it's only for infantry units, and it has to come up within 6 inches of a board edge and outside of 9 inches of an enemy.
There's not like a really hard-hitting Space Wolves unit that everyone uses a lot lately that has trouble not getting killed while it's going across the table or anything. So that wouldn't be useful. I'm talking about Wolfen.
No, I get it.
I think everyone knew that.
There are lots of options in this book.
Val had to talk about those because, the only unit he knows.
Here's and to be perfectly honest, I only heard about them by reading something on a bus shelter the other day. So
there are 3 stop the presses stratagems, and I mean like super powerful, cheap stratagems that I want to talk about right now.
Let's do it.
I'm buckled up.
The first one is Keen Senses. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. Choose a Space Wolves unit from your army. That unit doesn't suffer any penalties to its hit rolls this phase.
That's amazing.
1 command point, you negate all the shenanigans, and it doesn't even say use it at the beginning of your shooting phase. It's like, okay, I'm going to shoot at that unit. I use lightning reflexes. Cool. I use keen senses and deny that. Or I shouldn't say deny it. This unit doesn't take any negatives.
Yeah. I feel like you're going to use that against some armies. I feel like you're going to use that almost every phase of the game. Like, well, you could burn through that. Yeah.
And let's talk about like how good heavy bolters just got.
Yeah. Just anything. Like, every Eldar flyer all of a sudden their butt has to be clenched just a bit.
Well, this
all
because
flyers.
You don't care.
That's any negative penalty. So
okay, and it's not Space Wolves infantry unit or anything. It's Space Wolves unit. So the Predator you just pop kill shot on now has keen senses.
Oh my god! You're gonna
because it's a predator. It's looking for prey.
It's 1 command point, gentlemen.
That's so good.
I think it's glorious.
Oh my gosh, dude. It's like you can turn anything into a Sakaran. That's great.
I mean, just think about it. Like, it's any Space Wolves unit doesn't suffer any negatives to hit in the shooting. I mean, the possibilities are endless. You're going to see this. Now, I know, we get questions frequently about how do I make a mono-faction army? And I truly believe there are lists in every codex that you can make a mono-faction army. The Space Wolves are really going to shine with some command point farms. And that's one of the things that that the Imperium excels at. But this is so cheap. Even if you were making a mono-faction Space Wolf army, you could use this every round of the game and not even feel it.
So my questions are, what would you be using to shoot really well?
Log Fangs.
Okay.
I mean, let's even remember that, I'm not suggesting you take a Stormfang, but, hard to hit flyers or even hard to hit by flyers. There are, you could use this on bolters.
Sure, you just use it on a regular old unit.
The aggressors that we mentioned earlier. You could, basically, there is always something to use this on. But we often find, for instance, we find ourselves in situations to where, the -1 to hit stay, even if you're over 12 inches, they're Adeptus Mechanicus, Alpha Legion, Eldar, all those things that are actually winning games and winning tournaments. One of their major strengths is the -1 to hit that then stacks with some other things or whatever. This
Plague Bearers.
Yeah, this just says, I'm just going to casually spend this 1 command point and got that unit.
I
dig it. The next game-changing one I want to talk about is the Living Storm. Use this stratagem if a Space Wolf Psyker from your army is within 6 inches of at least 2 other friendly Space Wolf Psykers. So this is going to be like Librarius Conclave type thing or whatever. And manifest the Living Lightning Psychic Power. Whenever the power would inflict D3 mortal wounds, it instead inflicts D6 mortal wounds. So somebody asked me, when does it do D3 mortal wounds?
Ooh, when does it do D3?
All the time. Not only all the time, it's twice on Saturday, 3 times on Sunday. So
it always does D3 mortal wounds, therefore it always does D6 mortal wounds.
So now you got to, there's a tax to this. You got to have the 3 Psykers, right? But you're only manifesting 1 living lightning per turn because that's match play rules, whatever.
Right.
It manifested the closest visible enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker suffers D3 mortal wounds. So D6 mortal wounds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're all thinking, that sounds pretty good. I'm going to cast this. I'm going to use this power.
Already that sounds like, I'd spend a command point on that,
If that unit is destroyed as a result, the closest enemy unit within 18 inches of the last model from that unit to be removed suffers D3 mortal wounds. So what does that mean?
D6 mortal wounds.
6 mortal wounds. And so on until a unit is not destroyed or there are no enemy units within 18 inches of the last model in the destroyed unit.
You know what I'm hearing from this? I'm hearing all the Grey Knight players just screaming because they're we're supposed to be the ones smiting people to death. And now this is one more army that's going to put out mortal wounds much better than them.
I love that. I know this is gonna be like when I brought up Death Grip killing a Farseer, but I just love the idea of the fact that if you shoot that at a spore mine, like if a spore mine just gets up in your grill, you literally just kill all the spore mines automatically.
That's awesome.
There's nothing that you can do.
So
That's pretty funny.
The Jaw Stormcaller, Nigel.
Nigel.
Y'all.
Y'all.
I think it's Nyal, but I like Nigel better. I think we go with Nigel.
He's a Space Wolf Psyker and adds 1 to his Psyche test.
That's good.
Yeah, and rerolls Deny the Witch. So, I mean, he's a good dude to have in your army, especially if you want to be zotting folks down.
Yeah, I like reroll.
How many times can he deny? Can he deny twice?
He has 2 denies, but he can reroll 1 failed Deny the Witch test. So he's got like one reinforced deny and then 1 regular deny.
That's pretty ballin'.
That's solid, actually.
What does Nyal cost?
That's a good question.
Is he the one that has... He's got 2 options, right? You could take him...
Nigel is 138 points.
Now, could he be taken in power armor, or is that old model?
He can. He can be taken in power armor or Terminator armor.
Okay, all right. I couldn't remember if that old sculpt was like power armor or
The Terminator armor is 153 points.
And what's the power armor?
138.
I'm gonna take that Terminator armor. let's go ahead and pay a little more.
Well, of course, with Terminator armor, you are subject to the restrictions that it comes with Terminator armor.
Yeah, you're also subject to that 2+ save that I like.
Well, he does get a 4+ invulnerable save also.
Yeah.
In his runic Terminator armor. Outside of the Terminator armor, he has a 5+ invulnerable save in his regular power armor. He does have the Psychic Hood also, which adds 1 to his Deny the Witch test. So add 1 if you're within 12 and you're rerolling with a +1.
Does it get an extra wound in the Terminator armor?
He does. Goes to 6 wounds.
Not too shabby. 20
Wait,
points.
So does he get +1 and then the hood gives him another +1?
No, he gets a reroll of 1 deny. And Val, that's a really good point. When people ask us, like, how do you determine value choices? Like, you have to kind of consider, what would you pay for that extra? Would you pay, 20 points for an extra wound and an extra pip on the invulnerable save? And the answer is, it's not even 20 points. It's 15 points? It goes from 138 to 153?
So it's 10% more.
Like, would you pay that for an extra wound and an extra invulnerable save? The answer is probably yes.
And an extra armor save.
No, he has a 2+ armor save, normal.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you gotta weigh the detriment. Like, he can't fit in a Rhino, he can't fit in a drop pod. I know we're not
drop pod. What's that?
Yeah.
Oh man, that just killed it for me.
He can fit into outer space and deep strike into your own deployment zone turn 1 and not be hurt. He can hide behind things.
And you're right, he does get teleport strike in Terminator armor.
It's a tough call though, because like honestly, if he's got a 2+ in his power armor, artificer armor, whatever he's got, I mean,
runic armor.
His runic armor, they're gonna have to hit you with what? -3 before you're even worried about the invul, right? So, I mean, -2, it's almost a wash, I think. Plus, he's a character, you're going to hide him. So, I don't know. That's a tough call.
That Living Storm, I mean, I know we sidetracked on talking about Najal, but the Living Storm is where it's at. It's 1 command point to turn your D3 Living Lightning into D6 mortal wounds that just basically chain react all over the battlefield.
So, am I allowed to ask what the 3 cheapest psychers are that they have available?
Well,
just Rune Priest, regular Rune Priest.
Limited, limited on the psyker types. But you've got the Primaris.
Friend Supreme Command Attachment.
Yeah, you have the Primaris Rune Priest is 93 points, and the regular old Rune Priest comes with you can either get him Terminator armor, jump pack, or regular. Starts bottom line 88 points.
And what's the range on that spell again?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm sure
it was 18 inches. I believe you said.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's like the Space Wolf's smite.
Right. I was just thinking, like maybe jump packs wouldn't be a bad idea to get them where you need to get them.
Living Lightning is 18 inches. Yeah.
A spell like that it feels like it's the death of MSU squads.
And also, does it stop you from using the other guys to cast other spells?
No.
Or other powers?
It does not.
It doesn't. I mean, so it's really... that ain't bad. That ain't bad.
So you could smite a unit down with the other two, and get them weaker, and then hit them with the big one so that it chains off.
You go into a murder blizzard.
I think that's a murder storm fang blizzard tooth claw thing.
And then when you don't take out that last model, it's attempted murder.
Yeah, no, you're going to command point that to re-roll it. So.
Now we're joking around, but like let's.
I'm
just
not
say,
joking, Paul.
No,
I'm going to command point re-roll that.
That's only a two command point investment.
Yeah, for golly, a lot of mortal wounds. Just it being able to do D6 mortal wounds. That right there is great. The fact that you could potentially cause.
Whenever the power would inflict D3 mortal wounds, it instead inflicts D6 mortal wounds.
It's bonkers.
That wording seems so specific. Is there anything you can think of in the game that would lower like a D3 mortal wounds to a 1?
I think it's just covering all the bases of like all the destruction you can wreak with this. And that's just 2 of the powerful stratagems in this book. The next one is the Chooser of the Slain. Now, we know we've seen this take on some different incarnations in different editions, but what this is now is use this stratagem immediately after your opponent sets up a unit that is arriving on the battlefield as reinforcements and is visible to a rune priest from your army. A single friendly unit within 6 inches of that rune priest can immediately shoot at the enemy unit as if it were the shooting phase, but you must subtract 1 from any hit rolls when it does so. This is 2 command points.
Pretty good.
That's sort of more of a limit, like unlimited intercept thing going on there. Like as long as you're close to a rune priest, you're able to hit anything on the table that's come in.
Yeah, that's it. It's just within 6 inches of the rune priest. So you put again. We're talking about like a heavy bolter Longfang squad. I'm almost kind of like ashamed to admit it, but it's not terrible with what's out there in the world right now. That's not killing knights, but it's killing shining spears.
I'm just imagining a bunch of dreadnoughts standing around some rune priests so far. Murder Fang dreadnoughts.
Murder Fang's close combat guy. You want?
Oh yeah, sorry. That would not be a good example.
Yeah,
I think people, kind of, we've hated on heavy bolters for so many years because they've just not been that great. But in this edition, I think heavy bolters are still a really good option. And then to have that, right there to where you could kind of screen out some deep striking units with it. You're really going to question whether or not you should bring an army or bring a unit down, knowing you got 4 heavy bolters there getting ready to shoot into your face.
People that have long fangs, if that's what we're choosing to use this on, have a bunch of missile launchers. If they've been long-time Space Wolf players, they have a bunch of las cannons. Those are also incredibly valid. Like this stuff is like, for instance. The outflanking knight, the Sally Forth knight, comes in from reserves and then eats 4 las cannons.
It's not ideal for him. I'll definitely say that.
You would probably opt not to have that happen to him.
I mean, if I had the option.
I mean, they're hitting on 4s, wounded on 3s and stuff. I'm not saying it's a sure thing, but like they bank on coming in and being undeterred. And you're already taking Rune Priest. It's not like you're having to, I guess I'll take a Rune Priest. Like we've already, I think we've
established that. Yeah,
I'll take 4 Rune Priests just in case.
Yeah,
you're taking Arjak and his 3 Rune Priest buddies.
I mean, you got to think about that. That's like that knight comes in. All right, so I sally forth in and get 4 las cannon shots, and then I'm going to hopefully try to charge. Right, so then I'm taking the Overwatch. That's terrifying. And then heaven forbid I don't make that charge. And then I'm going to get shot up 2 more times if it even takes that long. So that makes it very risky for knights to get there.
Man, I'm loving these stratagems. The next one I want to talk about is the Lone Wolf. This is subtly extremely powerful, and I'll tell you why. Use this stratagem at the end of any phase if there is a Space Wolf infantry unit from your army other than a character, a servitor, which is good thinking on GW's part.
Oh my gosh, Lone Wolf Servitors. Okay.
Or a Wolfen. So that has been reduced to a single model. That model's wound characteristic is increased by 2, and it gains 2 wounds. It gains the character keyword, and you can reroll failed hit and wound rolls for it for the remainder of the game.
Also,
That's
the
fun.
song "One Is the Loneliest Number" begins to play randomly on someone's cell phone.
This guy is making lots of friends because he's got 2 extra wounds. He rerolls hits.
Does that make him better than the actual Lone Wolf entry?
I don't think so. But
I don't think so, just because of weapon loadouts, like the Lone Wolf.
Yeah, it doesn't give him like
Yeah.
extra attacks or anything.
But here's what I love about this, okay? Think about ITC.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You're
No, sorry, I stole your thunder.
No,
then,
no,
but-
no. Go
Yes.
by all means. You cracked the code.
Yeah, so, think about it. What is it? Kill one, hold one. Kill more, right? So, all I got to do is kill that unit. Oh, darn, I got him knocked down to one dude. All right, you play that stratagem, and now he's hidden behind another unit, and you can't shoot at him.
This is kind of where Primera Space Marines, I think, shine. You have a unit of 5 dudes. There's one
Yep.
left. He now becomes immune to shooting. Well, I shouldn't say immune. He can't target him unless he's the closest model.
It will I think especially in the ITC format, I think that stratagem right there will force people to have to shoot at units they may not be wanting to shoot at. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if I want to shoot, like, let's say I got the long fangs in the back and I'm shooting at them. Well, if I knock them down to 1, then I just created a character and now I can't finish him off, right? So you almost want to shoot at the closest unit so that if he gets left by himself, he's out in the open and easily killed. Now, the downside to that is, and I think that what you do if you're playing ITC, you take not Kingslayer, which is the one where you kill characters. I cannot remember that.
Headhunter.
Headhunter, thank you. So Headhunter, if you're playing against Space Wolves, you take Headhunter, right? Because if he does turn it into a character, then you're going to get Headhunter points off of it. So I think it will even out, but just the ability to hide that unit and deny kill points for ITC is huge.
Now, you do have to get a unit beat down to that one model.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's
you
like,
can't just fire it off.
yeah, and so that's at the end of the phase. Was that when it was at the end of the phase?
It's at the end of the phases. If it's reduced to one model, you can burn this stratagem.
Okay, so that right there makes it really kind of situational, right? Because like it's at the end of the phase, he can still be picked off. So if it's in the shooting phase and you didn't get him in the shooting phase anyway, that's kind of a bummer. Does that take place? Oh no, it's shooting phase. So Battle Shock wouldn't matter. Battle Shock comes at the end. So
Yeah, I think it's
That's a good point.
It's strong. Yeah, you're right. You could possibly eat that dude to morale.
I don't think so, right? Because the morale phase, you would do it. You would have to do it you would do it before the morale phase if you were going to do it. So I think you're okay there.
Oh no, you would do it, but then you still have to roll morale.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh, you would, wouldn't you? Yeah, because it still happened.
There can only be one. Actually, never mind.
You know what? I'm just going to get on out of
good.
here.
I'm good. I'm just going to walk this. You're good. Okay. Now that would be embarrassing.
Well, but there are a ton of ways in here to mitigate morale. The Space Wolves have all kind of stuff to mitigate morale.
I think that falls under the super clutch stratagem when you remember to use it at the right time.
Yeah, you're going to think you're so good at 40k. You're going to be like, I am a legend.
And I mean, I'm telling you,
And you fail the morale test.
it's strong. I mean, I think it's real good. Another one that I think is great is the True Grit.
Is this the one I like?
You do.
yeah.
You use the stratagem in the shooting phase. Choose a Space Wolf infantry unit from your army that is within 1 inch of an enemy unit. In this phase, models in that unit can fire their auto bolt rifles, bolt guns, bolt rifles, and bolt carbines as if they had pistol 2 type.
That's so good.
Yeah, models that do so cannot fire any other pistols in this phase. So they only get to fire their, like, they can't have a plasma pistol and a bolt carbine or carbine and then fire it. But they do get to shoot people with their bolters in the shooting phase.
You get to double tap people with their bolters in the shooting phase. And those intercessors have all kinds of fancy bolt weaponry, don't they? So it could be a pretty good shot.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say that they can't? Read it to me again. I'm sorry. Just to
They
clarify.
fire their bolt weapons. They cannot fire any additional pistol types.
Oh, it specifically says that.
Yep.
Oh, okay. My bad. Because I was thinking that was going to be amazing, but no, they
It still ain't bad.
They saw what I. No, it's great. They just saw what I was going to do, which is pull my pistol out too and shoot them with that too, because they would have both been pistols.
Which would be the rule if it didn't specifically say that. You're right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good because you're. Goodness gracious! I mean, you're rapid fire. If you got like 10 dudes, that's 20 bolt rifle shots at -1 AP. You're going to kill stuff.
I'm loving the stratagems. I know we were talking a little bit flippantly about the Space Wolves in the first part of the show, but that's largely because we are Dark Angels and Blood Angel and Orc players. So.
Yeah. But they feel like ferocious. You know what I'm saying? Like
no, they really
feel
are.
Like they feel
a lot of
like
this stuff
come across.
stacks. Like the Wolf's Eye. The Wolf's Eye is another stratagem. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a unit of long fangs from your army is chosen to make its attacks. You can reroll either failed hit rolls or failed wound rolls for that unit in this phase.
So did you say that's any phase?
Shooting phase.
That's only shooting.
And that's for long fangs. So I'm talking about, I'm going to keen senses, and then I'm going to reroll wounds with my Wolf's Eye.
That makes heavy bolters way better,
too. Last cannon, like your one long fang squad, just deleted 2 hemlocks.
Yeah. Golly.
I mean, that's aggressive. I mean, that's like a little bit of luck, but I'm telling you, you can stack this stuff. I got my keen senses, I got my Wolf's Eye. I'm taking this stuff out.
And you know what? You can just save the command points and just park Arjack next door.
Which he's not going to be parked next to Longfangs. He's going to be up there swinging that hammer.
He'll be throwing the hammer.
And that too. I'm telling you, he does it all. I was going to say he slices, he dices, but he smashes, he bashes.
I feel like, I'm not looking at everything in the Codex and everything, but I feel like there are so many ways you're going to be able to build Space Wolves, and it's going to feel like a Space Wolf army.
We're not even scratching the surface. Like, I was talking about all those ways to mitigate morale. Like, there are tons of ways that characters do this, stratagems do that to mitigate the morale. Now, what we've talked about is like the in-your-face powerful stuff. I think that like the entry, you want to play Space Wolves? Tell your buddy to get Arjack and 3 Rune Priest is where it's at.
Yep.
I am 2/4 of the way done with that.
And then what? Flavor to taste, and you're good to go.
Yeah, then you want to sprinkle in some long fangs. Then you want some Grey Hunters. It's good. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk about some relics.
Let's do it.
You're listening to Forge the Narrative.
Hey everybody, we are back. I still got the whole crew with us.
Hi.
Crew.
Space Wolves, this is where they only have 1 page of relics. Now, I know I said that like they only have 1 page of relics.
Well, I mean, like Custodes had 3 pages of relics?
3, yeah.
I still haven't
And
finished
like
reading all
just
the
as many models in their range.
But
You know what? When you have a spell that's popping off D6 mortal wounds every time, I don't care if you have relics or not,
And
okay?
Arjack is a walking relic.
Yeah, they'll be okay. I think they'll be okay.
So the Armor of Russ. Now there's the kind of the standard loadout here. There's a couple of offensive things, there's a couple of defensive things, there's a couple of utility things. That's how the relics work. The Armor of Russ is pretty remarkable. The model has a 4+ invulnerable save. In addition, at the start of the fight phase, choose an enemy unit within 1 inch of this model. That unit cannot be chosen to fight in the fight phase until all other units able to fight have done so. If the target unit has an ability that allows it to fight in the fight phase, it instead fights fight first in the fight phase, and instead fights if it didn't have this ability. If both players have units that cannot fight until after all units have done so, then alternate choosing which of those units to fight with, starting with a player whose turn is taking place.
Woof, that's a mouthful.
Did anybody get a count of how many times Paul said fight?
Always
I went
fight.
cross-eyed.
Fight.
Always ABF.
I'm not sure, like, I mean, the 4+ invulnerable save seems kind of superfluous to me. I mean, I guess you could put it on, like, a Rune Priest or something. But, like a Wolf Lord or something like that, they've already got an Iron Halo. So you're not really taking this for the invulnerable save. You're taking this to make someone swing last.
To park somebody. Like, I know you discharged me, but you're going to hang out while I hit you with this power fist 5 times.
I don't hate it.
It's free.
I definitely don't hate
How can
that.
you hate
Yeah.
it? How can you even remarkably say, like, how can you say?
Now, before you said fight 10,000 times, is it just enemy unit, or is it like enemy infantry, or does it have any restrictions?
No.
So it's like, I'm sorry, knight. I'm just gonna beat you up with this hammer.
Yes.
That's pretty sweet.
Well, I mean, the knight will probably survive and then just pick this guy up and power,
So
to
you're already
do the
forgetting
crushing
that the knight
fist.
took 4 last cannons that rerolled.
Knight got shot halfway off the table. This is his last desperate attempt to score some points. And then he's getting hit with this.
And this guy heroically intervened out of nowhere.
That's so bad. Because it's totally what's going to happen. What's his face? He's just going to run across it and be like, no, not in my house. Shaking his finger at him.
He's Dikembe Mutombo all of a
That's
sudden?
it, Mutombo. It's the armor Mutombo is what it's be.
I didn't know Mutombo was a space wolf. I thought there were no Mutombos on Fans.
I don't think he knew that he was a space wolf either.
Well,
He is now.
I want to. You get in the news. I mean, the armor. You're right. I think that's also a fair point you guys brought up. Like, who does this go on? But it's you don't have to be the Crusher to lock somebody down. It's you pick a unit within 1 inch of this guy, and then they just don't swing until everyone else is swung.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
Your Thunderwolves or your Wulfen could do the work for you while you're being like, chill for a minute. See what I did? See what I did? Chill.
I'm gonna let you finish, knight. Oh, I got it.
Ooh.
Kanye the Knight. The armor of Kanye.
Yeah. The unit cannot be chosen to fight in the fight
What
phase
have we
until
done?
all other units able to fight have done so.
Do you know how terrifying that would be as an Imperial Knight to charge into Space Wolves and then realize you're not swinging first?
Because they get their benefits plus 1 hit. I mean, let's not really mention the fact that Arjak did just heroically intervene for 6 inches.
Yeah.
Get closer while you're trying to finish off some Wolf Scouts.
Golly. I want to have my little 6-inch movement template everywhere I go now. I'm going to be like...
Really, what it is, you finally get to the Rune Priests that have been D6 mortal wounding you the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you know what? You just hang out for a second while my boy Arjak beats you into
Yo, yeah. My bro Arjak's coming up. Just hold on a second.
Yeah, just wait. He only moves 5 inches. Just wait. Just wait a little bit.
No,
He'll be here
thanks to you, player, he just moved 11 inches.
More importantly, Murder Fang just did that too.
I mean, again, it's a bestial relic, if you ask me. It has such utility.
That's that's terrifying when, like, Space Wolves players, 3/4 of their army is going to be characters. And then you have that relic on top of it. So everything is heroically intervening, everything, and then you're swinging last. Yeah, that's good. I was just like, I'm going to pick off this one dude, and then all of a sudden, it's like throwing an ice cream down on an anthill, and everything's just right on top of you, and then you're toast.
I think the relics and the stratagems for the Space Wolves make them incredibly powerful. I think they are a great standalone army and an amazing complement to the Imperium. Like Imperial soup type armies.
I'm very excited to see where they go with this, and especially where like the list builders go, because the models that people have hanging around that are Space Wolves, right? Anyone that's been playing since 5th, they'll probably have some long fangs with rocket launchers hanging around, right? Probably some Thunder Wolves, but maybe you're starting to think a little bit more about some of the different things that Space Wolves have to offer. Wulfen, of course, were somewhat of a favorite back in 7th when they came out, but I'm very interested to see what this does to the meta and how this changes things around.
At the very least, for a little while, you'll see Space Wolves again, which is super cool. And
I
awesome.
congratulated a player at ATC. I walk up to the table and I'm like, all right, what do you got? And he's like, oh, I got this. I got some Space Wolves. And I was like, wait, what? Hey, good for you. So he's got to be over the moon now because his army is going to be amazing.
Is that a wolf joke? Over the moon?
Oh, it wasn't. But let's pretend it was and that I'm that witty.
You are so clever.
Pretty sure it was the cow that went over the moon.
And Christopher Walken has joined us.
You know what?
Scooch closer, children.
This is
You know
what
I
happens.
said about
When you-
Listen, guys, the wolves, they howl at the moon.
Oh man.
Jesus. God, we got derailed.
This
Okay.
is what I deal with,
Just
ladies
keep
and gentlemen.
walking.
This is what I deal with. Well, I mean, that's really the most powerful relic. If you ask me, there are other things like the Wulfing Stone. You can make one additional attack from models in a friendly Space Wolf infantry, biker, or cavalry unit. Units within 3 inches of the bearer make their attacks in the fight phase. But see, it goes on to say units of Wulfing are not affected, nor are units that made a charge while within a range of the Curse of the Wulfing. That's the hunt ability of the Wulfing. We can talk about the Wulfing in just a second. Ability earlier this turn. In addition, a unit cannot be affected by both Curse the Wulfing Kill and the Wulfing Stone in the same fight phase. So this is obviously a relic you would take if you weren't using their aura type stuff.
Yeah, you can only Wulfin so far. You never go full Wulfin.
Yeah, and there's a Frost Fury. Models with a Stormbolter only. Frost Fury replaces the bearer Stormbolter and has the following profile. It's an Assault 4, 2 damage, -1 AP Stormbolter.
Well, that'll sneak up on you, won't it?
Yeah, if a model suffers an unsaved wound from this weapon, but is not slain, roll a d6. On a 4+, the target suffers a mortal wound. So, it's a lot of damage. I'm not sure. See, I'm telling you, from a 1 relic...
That's potentially 9 damage from a Stormbolter, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. That's not bad.
String 4.
Well, I mean, it's not amazing.
No, okay.
I didn't say it was amazing. It's not bad.
No, look, let's go deep here. Let's go like level 3 deep here for a second.
Wolf.
Gene Stealer
Wolf to the
cults
cube.
have been coming out with almost every release. If they truly become a powerhouse, this Stormbolter is good.
That's so many dead Gene Stealers.
I'm talking about you getting all the cult troops and Gene Stealers with this thing.
But only if you're standing next to a rune priest.
You just feel all big and bad while the rune priest is just laying lightning down like it's...
Delete them with lightning, and you're like, I'll help.
Yeah, you get to light them up. You get to light them up when they come out of the shadows, guys. Because all your dreadnoughts have
right.
fangs.
Yeah, with the chooser of the slain, when they pop up, you get to... The layer. I'm telling you, there's lots of layers in this book. I mean, and we're talking about some of that like aggressively, very much on the surface, powerful stuff. But it really is powerful. This is nothing about the like. There's synergies with almost everything that you're probably going to want to take.
You know, my favorite thing about when we talk about a new codex is how we're like, okay, this is going to be great. This is cool. We love this. We love this. This is. There's something none of us catch. And there's just some dude who like cracks the code and just builds some bonkers list. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is when somebody just finds something that we weren't even thinking about. And then you get to see them like just start wrecking people with it. And you're like, how did we not see that? That's what I look forward to when these codexes come out. I'm
excited. I mean, I really am. This is a when you can see a codex that's a standalone codex that actually makes use of marine bodies. Mm-hmm. That's fun to see on the tabletop.
Well, just anytime you get to see Space Marines by themselves on the table, it's, I don't know, you feel like you're playing 40k again. Like with the ridiculous command point stuff that's been going on lately, where I like any time that you can see somebody put a mono faction army on the table and have a real go at it.
So Wulfing are base 28 points. I know this is something that people normally put a Storm Shield and Thunderhammer on, so that those points start to add up pretty quickly. But I'll tell you what the Wulfings abilities are. Hang on a minute.
This is what the people came here for.
They have the two. They still have the two different kind of auras, profiles that they get. Is the Wulfing that we mentioned, 28 points apiece, 3 attacks. The pack leader has 4 attacks. Nothing to sneeze at there. They got the Bounding Lope. They can advance and charge in the same turn. Death Frenzy. Roll a d6 for each time a model in this unit loses a wound. On a 5+, the wound is not lost. If a model in this unit is slain in the fight phase, then once the enemy unit has finished making its attacks, you can attack with the model before removing it as a casualty, even if it has already attacked that phase.
Gosh, sounds
they're
like
so
some
good
stuff.
I mean, you know they're going to die. I mean, you're going to be very aggressive with them. They're going to get to use this ability because they've got the Feel No Pain, the 4+, 3+ invulnerable. If you put the Storm Shield on them, it's pretty much always going to work. That part's always going to work. The Curse the Wolf and Hunt. You can reroll failed charge rolls for friendly Space Wolves, infantry, bikers, and cavalry units that are within 6 inches of the unit at the start of the charge phase. The range of this ability is doubled to 12 inches for friendly Blood Call units.
Yeah, that's the same as it was. Yeah.
Yeah, who doesn't like to reroll charges? Curse the Wolf and Kill. You can make 1 additional attack from models in the Space Wolf, infantry, biker, cavalry units that are within 6 inches of any unit with this ability when they make their attacks in the fight phase. Pretty sure Arjak is one of those. The range of this ability is doubled 12 inches for Blood Claw. Wolfen are not affected by this ability, nor are units that made a charge this turn while within range of the Curse of the Wolfen Hunt ability are affected.
Okay. All right. So our Wolfen so far the same, yeah?
Yeah, I think they're the same.
Anything like, so they have other weapon options outside of that Thunderhammer. Like there's the Great Frost Axe, of course.
D3 damage, +3 strength, -3.
Does it still grant an extra attack?
Extra attack, yep.
Okay.
As long as you attack with it when it charged. +1 attack when charged.
Yes.
Let's just all be aware of the fact that Wolfen didn't need to change. They were solid already. So yeah,
there's a guy around here who's using them pretty well.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not to use Wolfen well. I mean, honestly, like if they get there, they are going to cause damage, and at some point you kind of hope a couple of them die so they finish off what you're fighting. That's
the best thing when it
win either way.
I know we're talking about knights, but like when a demon prince, right? Like this is like worst case scenario. Demon prince fighting Wolfen. The demon prince is dead.
There's no winning to that scenario.
Dead. You might kill a couple of Wolfen, but your demon prince is not making it out of that combat.
Yeah.
The power level 11. Now, I know you're asking, why did I bring that up? The Seeker, Seeking a Saga. This is one of those things. Use this stratagem at the beginning of the fight phase. Choose a Space Wolves character from your army that is within 1 inch of an enemy unit with a greater power rating than that character. You can re-roll failed wound rolls for attacks made by that character against that enemy unit. This is for 1 command point. So if a character is going up against something with a greater power level, for 1 command point, you re-roll failed wounds.
That's cool. I like that. I like the visual of that.
Yeah.
It may cause someone to do something they shouldn't, but I think it's a fun one.
Yeah.
Now, before I make this charge, could I please see your Codex, sir?
I just can't wait to see it. Hey, what's your power level? Man, that's a good question.
Or when you have to pop it to kill a Land Raider. It's power level 19.
A Land Raider.
Yeah.
Do we see those?
You never know.
It's filled with Wolfen.
You didn't see Space Wolves either, so who knows?
Yeah. No, I think we're still pretty safe with the Land Raider not being a thing.
I'm digging this Codex.
Yeah. It's a shame on principle I can't ever play them, but they sound really fun.
You just have to have the internal struggle with yourself. What's the name of the challenge, the confrontation?
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that because I was like, I was trying to figure out if I could do that with Arjak.
It's a stratagem in this Dark Angel book, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's their what is that blood feud thing they have, and I cannot remember the name of it.
Dance of the Moon.
No, that's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous it could be it.
No, it actually sounds pretty good. I can't remember the name of it.
I gotta find it. You all keep
something
talking.
feud.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the primary stuff I want to talk about. Space Wolves, man. We got to catch up with Val after his trip back from the ETC.
Who went to the ETC?
I don't think it was you, my friend.
No. That was a different Val Heffelfinger. Totally different guy.
Man, we actually both been trying. I went to Gen Con. I realized that my Gen Con recap episode was actually a bonus episode that got lost in a Skype update. So
no,
I gotta piece it together and do some other stuff. But yeah,
there was.
Warp is a fickle mistress.
I watched a few of the videos from the floor. It was actually really wild seeing how massive the crowds of people were drifting through that place.
Just you wait. I'm going to boost some video from Dragon Con coming up in a couple of weeks. You will be blown away by the number of people.
Yeah.
And it's going to be neat, man. But so, briefly, how was your trip?
So, it was hashtag Warhammer World Tour, and what were some tours that may have ended in complete disaster? I don't know. It was. I was a little snake bitten out there, Paul Murphy. I'm not going to lie to you. I appeared on this show rather jet-lagged, proclaimed Fire Warriors to be the greatest ever infantry unit designed by Games Workshop. I then proceeded to, lose badly at the NWO, but that was all right. It was a practice round. I went to Nottingham. I visited. I did my pilgrimage. That was a really wonderful time. I then met up with a great Scottish player. They finished third. He did really well, Rick. And woke up the next morning, and he was like, "Okay, cab's outside." I was like, "Cool, man. Can't find my passport." And this is where things start going sideways on old Heffelfinger. And so I go through the next 2 days, desperately trying to find my passport. I go and get it replaced, actually. I go down to the consulate. And
now, you did get to go to the Duck and Waffle.
I did go to the Duck and Waffle, but the Duck and Waffle is after something was revealed, guys. The whole time I was searching, this is kind of like, the end of The Sixth Sense, where you find out something about the main character. Well, it turned out the whole time I was looking for my passport, it was in my shoe. It was literally physically in my shoe. You see, I'd remembered hiding it in a shoe.
I don't even know how to respond to this.
But this is the thing. I changed my shoes at some point, and the whole time I was searching for my passport, I was wearing the shoes that I'd hid the passport in, and I have no words. I have no words for this. So I missed the European Singles Championship, which was kind of critical for me to be at, just for the just to get a taste for the competition, to get a taste for get some more practice with the missions, because I had actually banked on that being a lot of my mission practice, and I'd been playing a lot of ITC events for just game practice. And so I came in a little rattled to the European Team Championship and proceeded to act like a player who was, I don't know, high on drugs and just completely screwed.
No one's going to test you for doping because you're losing.
No, this was, whatever it was performance de-hancing, that's for sure. Anyway, I blame the Scottish and went 0-6. Went 0-6.
Oh. Despite your actual performance, I still stand by what we talked about on Riptides.
Absolutely, Riptides, for sure. No, the Riptides are good in the hands of anyone else but me. I couldn't. At one point, I yelled at my. Well, I didn't yell, but he was just looking at me disapprovingly. The captain of Team Canada, Chris Haynes. I yelled at him after Game 4. I can't stop losing. At which point we warmed up the coach of the team with Tau, because he was like, "This guy's going to lose it, man. Like, he's going to lose it. Like, let's see if the coach can play Tau. Like, not lose it as in lose more games. That was obviously going to happen, but like lose it, like start to cry or just run away and just like vanish into the distance." It was awesome. ETC is glorious. The people who were there were some amazing players. Every opponent I had was wonderful. It's kind of cool. A lot of people ask, like, how do like all these players from different countries speak different languages? How do you play 40k? Some of the English wasn't the best, but everyone speaks Warhammer. You know what I mean? Like, it's really cool. We were
I hit you on a 2+ and I reroll. Are we clear? Yeah, we're clear.
Yeah, no, everyone could get that much across. The tournament itself was not marred by any major controversies. It was really smoothly run. The event venue, I'd encourage everyone out there, go out, and if you haven't looked at it, go find some pictures of the venue. It was played in the middle of the Zagreb arena, so we were in literal sporting, a sporting complex, and the whole rink surface was just tables as far as you could see. It was really, really epic, and I wasn't, but that's okay because it was a great experience. And it looks like Team Canada's looking for an 8th person. That's cool. So I
saw that. Like, we're trying to take the next year's event a little more seriously. We'd like anyone but Val. That was the
This is why-
subtext.
So this is why I use an alias. So now I can just apply with my real name and sucker them for taking me again.
I was sitting here trying to think of like jokes to be like, oh, so what are you going to be doing next year around this time and stuff like that. But like, it just
Nope,
felt,
this whole
I felt
country
so
has
bad.
taken care of that for you, Ricky.
It
felt
to
too
admit,
bad to say it.
and like I know I've just this is a team game. I know I just made that a lot about me, but I think one of the things that weighs kind of heavily on me is like our team was by no means bad, and we actually we came really close to tying Scotland. We came really close to we scored a lot better than we have in previous years versus Italy, which is a perennial contender. Not this year, but certainly in the past. And they're a very good crew. We did get blown up a bit by Poland, but that's to be expected. So like. We were in the fight. I think a lot. We didn't finish as well as we have in the past, but I think we were overall more competitive than say my performance might have suggested. So took one a little too hard for the team there, but that's all good. And hopefully, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I think ETC's profile has been raised quite a lot. Versus previous years. That's thanks to some of the work that Glasshammer Gaming's been doing, but also just I feel like the ETC community has been engaging a lot more rather than being insular. They've been out on podcasts. They've been talking more. I mean, Team America won. That helps boost the profile of the event. I think 2019 is going to be even cooler than it was this year. It's in Serbia. So like all the people who listen, I know we got listeners across the world.
So you're serving up the competition.
We're gonna. Someone is not old half. But all I was gonna say is there were 34 countries represented. We had people from Argentina who came, Australia came, obviously Canada, the United States. It's not just about Europe. You can put a team together if your country's not yet represented, and you can make it happen with just 8 of your closest friends.
That's one of my only critiques of the event. Obviously, the United States being such a big event, such a small population of our people get to go over there. It's freaking awesome that America brought home the gold this year, no question about it. But what you're bringing up a good point is if your country is not currently represented at this event and you'd like to take part, then it just takes one person to kick that off, and anybody can do it.
Yeah, you just need 4. You need 4 citizens, and then 4 other people who are willing to play. Like they call it the Serbian Alliance, but Team Serbia that was there. We played them in the last round. I think they had 4 people who were Serbian, and the rest were I think Italian guys and French people. So, but they all got to play.
They have very codified rules on how to make a team. So I mean, it's worth checking out if your country is not yet represented.
And even if your country is represented, it's every place where they are fielding a team, get involved with your team. Like I know in the UK, for example, like in England, they'll hold practices and invites for people who want to maybe one day get on the roster, and it can become like a real bucket list type goal for you to work towards. And people will always need, sparring partners. There's all kinds of ways to get involved with your country's team, because it is a big, commitment. It's huge expense depending on how far you're traveling from. So, help out your local ETC team.
Yeah, totally worth it, man. Glad you got to go and take and experience that. I'm sorry that your travel woes kind of plagued your probably your mind and took you out of it a little bit, but
Paul, no excuses. I just played bad.
I mean, we talked about this on the show before, like fatigue of travel, different time zones, taking out of your element. It all plays into how your performance goes, and it's not easy. It's not easy. That's about the best way to describe it.
Well, this game is not easy. And I think one thing, I knew that people were going to be good, obviously, on these national teams. And obviously that wasn't wrong. But one way to think of it is like every single game that you're playing is at least as if you'd just gone 3-0 at a grand tournament. I'd say that's probably the level of your competition, maybe even 4-0. Where it's you're at the top tier of a given tournament you're at. That's every game you're playing. So there's very little room for minor mistakes or errors of really any kind of the simple variety. So if you make a devastating error, as I did a few times, in say deployment,
you 6 times in a row.
I stepped on 6 Sideshow Bob rakes, and they all hit me in the square in the face. Like if you make those errors, your opponents are going to be able to capitalize on them, 9 times out of 10. But at the same time, they're also, good friendly players, and they were all enjoyable games, and I made them kill every last one of my things.
Well, how hard is that when you're playing Fire Warriors?
Hey, it was always the Riptides that were the last to die, and I was only tabled twice. But anyway,
man,
the important thing though is you made memories. Okay, that's what we need to focus on. Granted, they were memories of you losing a lot, but still, they were memories
of Duck and Waffle in London on the what is it, the 40th story?
Oh, so yeah, that was the night before I actually departed. So once I did get my temporary passport because I had already had my previous one canceled. And it was on me. It was in my shoe while I was canceling it. Everything about it when I relive it just drives me nuts. But anyway, the Duck and Wing was the Duck and Waffle was. I couldn't sleep because I was on standby, and I had one flight. There was literally one flight I could catch, as British Airways would only let me fly my return ticket if I took the same flight I was booked on out of London. And so I had one flight to catch to be able to make to the ETC. The flight was fully booked, but not overbooked, so that was nice, which means I needed tragedy similar to mine to befall someone else on that flight, and so I couldn't sleep. And there's like 3 or 4, believe it or not, in London. There was like 3 or 4 24-hour restaurants I could go to. One was a McDonald's. One was this like after hours like Greasy Spoon.
Where I stay in London is right next to that. You're in Liverpool Street, right? That's where the McDonald's was.
I didn't even really look at it. It's all in the city, but
Duck
and Waffle
that's where I normally stay, is right near there. Yeah.
It's like a fancy restaurant that only serves duck and waffles or duck and waffle themed things, and it's staffed by Russian people. So I didn't quite look the part in my shorts and flower shirt, but the guy did let me in because it was 3 a.m. and I had a very pleasant dinner and watched the sun come up, and tried not to have a heart attack.
Dude, I'm glad you made it. I'm glad.
Yeah, me too.
Well, changing gears a little bit, I mentioned in the last episode that we were going to film a battle report, and we did it. Me and the co-captain of the Wrong Way Kids, Justin Pizza Ferrazza, filmed a battle report. It was our first go, and we were trying to kind of work through the kinks, working the camera, working the game. It's hard. It's harder than it looks to play a tight game while you're filming. So again, I mentioned this on Twitter, but hats off to the folks that do that. And you can find that on YouTube. It's on the Forge Narrative YouTube page. We have our, it's like a condensed 40-minute battle report, Sisters of Battle, with Assassins versus Astra Militarum and Custodes.
Bam.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
We have the technology. There will be more.
Well, it's gonna be more Titanicus.
It's gonna be Titanicus. Gonna be Kill
Battle
Team. Gonna be 40k. Gonna be some Sigmar. I mean, it's going to be lots of stuff. Again, now we have the ability. I've learned to edit video. Not well yet. I'll get there.
I saw some good side wipes. It reminded me of A New Hope. It was very nice.
Oh.
That's what we get. I was like, what's the best technology 1977 can offer?
That's right.
Anytime I notice a transition in a movie, I immediately think of Spaceballs when he just goes, "Ooh, nice dissolve."
Yeah.
That's what I think of.
But I could not put those in. I'm like, I gotta put this in.
He's like flashbacks to his PowerPoint days. He's like, yeah.
But I think we enjoyed it. We actually filmed that over that game over the course of 6 hours or whatever.
Gosh.
But we stopped to eat. We had lunch and dinner. It was like, whatever.
Got to keep your strength up for this 6-hour game.
Yeah, look, when you're holding the camera, I mean, it's brutal.
Look, Strachan had to walk a mud hole in a few assassins. I needed all my.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Paul, I did find it. FYI, the Lion and the Wolf. Shocking. Very, but that's the name of the stratagem.
Okay.
And it's actually pretty good because
I'd give lying if I
attack.
said I wasn't impressed.
Well, guys, thank y'all for joining me through this Space Wolf rundown. I mean, I'm very pleased with this Dex. I think it's going to be strong. I think there's going to be things to add. This is definitely things that will impact the current state of the game, which is really neat.
Yeah, I love every time we get new rules. every time. I don't care what they are. I just love the rules. So I think
we know October's coming up.
Hey, we didn't talk about that because it's too exciting. And apparently the greater good say I'm not allowed to be a part of them anymore, so I'm looking for Back at the Orcs. and actually, if I could quickly just actually take the mic back, I know I rambled a lot about my trip, but I just want to say, like, when I was in what seemed to be legitimate distress, it was actually really remarkable how many people offered me help, or met me for a drink, or consoled me, or whatever it was. It was wild.
From Georgia.
Well, that was later, and but just people in London, around there, like offering, place to stay. People who met me for pints at night, or even took some time out of their day at the office. A lot of them were listeners of the show, and I just want to say a big heartfelt thank you and sorry that was all just a horrible nightmare of a fire drill. But yeah, it was really cool that people, you hear people like talk a lot about community and how neat it is to play this game. And it was really driven home to me when I was stranded in London. And
thank you to everyone that did reach out to you. I mean, I know that's got to be, you feel it. Like the stress of being somewhere with that happening, and to know that people were trying to make that a little bit better is awesome.
Yeah, man.
You guys have a good rest of y'all's night. We will talk next week.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Good night.
Baby in the corner.